Yeah.
I'll tell you how I gotta go.
7:51 at KNEB News Extra is next, and brought to you today by Jolliffe Funeral Home. Here's Kevin Mooney.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, everyone. Our guest today is someone I've admired ever since I've been in town, and now it's 46, 47 years,
Going on
Jerry.
47.
Jerry
Going on 47.
Jerry Dishong from KDUH TV is here, and they're even going to do a little documentary on him. Mark Meisenheimer is doing a little documentary. What did you think about all that?
You know, he called me, Kevin, just out of the blue a few years ago. Hi, you remember me? Sure I do. Well, I'd like to do a documentary. Oh, man, hard up for something to film, but I said, you know, if it doesn't cost me anything, I guess you can. And so he started coming out, putting this thing together, and then I think he put a little bit out on YouTube, and I still am not sure where it's going. I mean, it's very flattering, but I'm still a little bit baffled by where they're going to show this thing. You know, the Midwest on a Thursday night, cookies afterwards. That's what my brother-in-law said. I'll go if they're serving refreshments. But so it's nice. It's nice. I think of the doctors and people like you and first responders out there that probably deserve a documentary a whole lot more than I do. But
It'd be fun. I'll be interested to see what he comes up with. I really will.
I'm curious too, to be honest with you, and he's been flying all around the country.
Well,
so
yeah,
I don't know
he's
where
got
the money's coming from.
Well, he's got
to bite on the people a little bit, but it's just a little bit overwhelming for me. But at 47 years, I was figuring though on the way out here this morning, Kevin, you know, what's the attraction? I've done, as near as I can tell, and help me with my math, about 10,000 noon reviews.
Wow.
You know, it's 220 a year. 10 years is 2,200 times 4 is 9,000 times another 6 or 7 years. 10,000 noon reviews, and it really hasn't changed much in 47 years.
Pretty much the
local
same,
news,
isn't it?
Little weather, little town crier, little market. Somebody called me recently, said, we've been away for 15 years, and we moved back because we wanted to come home, and we turned on the TV set, and you're there. And she said, we kind of feel like we're home now. She said, as a matter of fact, I think you're wearing the same sport coat you were when we left. So they're nice people out there, but very nice people.
Yeah, that's great. How did you get into this? I mean, you were thinking education, and then you
Elementary
decided
education, which I love, but they had an opening at Hay Springs for sports, $5 a night, 5 nights a week, and I'd actually taken a radio class at college, and I just loved it. You know, the freewheeling things you could do back then, but $5 a night, and I thought, well, this is going to be nice. Went away and got the first class FCC license.
We all did that FCC
allowed us
thing.
to work on their turning transmitters on and off, and next thing you know, it's full time, and then the next thing you know, it's 10,000 broadcasts later, and you're old and thinking about taking it easy, but you really can't. So I don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing the news show.
You know, that's kind of my problem.
Do you know, we have kind of a mutual admiration society here. I consider you the premier newsman in the entire state of Nebraska, more awards than Betty Davis. But I just am somebody that people invited into their homes at noontime. We talk a little bit about the train wreck and the snowstorm and the price of cows and the barn dance and the yard sales. And I don't know where 47 years will go.
Yeah. So when you look back, I mean, if you said, okay, 47 years, what's like the biggest thing that you covered, you think? 'Cause for me, for 30 years, it'd be the sugar factory explosion.
For sure. I'm not sure, maybe White Clay. And I'm sorry, Wounded Knee.
Wounded Knee?
Wounded Knee.
Yeah, see,
I knew a back
around
road into Wounded Knee, and I could get up there where networks can't. They had all the roads blocked off. The problem was the technology. I had an old film 16 millimeter camera, and I got up there and it didn't work, so I had a little 35 millimeter, got some slides, and I think part of that was because of the longevity. It went on for 3 months, so and there were people here from all over the world, so probably Wounded Knee, a few blizzards. People talk a lot about the time I was snowed in at Hay Springs for 4 days, just me, and never missed a news block. I would turn on the mic, run into the studio, do a little news, say, run off set, run the ads, and then run the programs, and didn't have any facilities there really. Had a can of fruit cocktail, and remember those horrible Hormel tamales that came in the can? And that's what I lived on. And then finally, after 4 days, I heard a snowmobile, and some rough characters from Hay Springs showed up with a pack of cigarettes and a 6-pack of beer.
So you said, thank you
Thank you
very
I'm
much.
saved. And I did smoke a lot back then. Thank goodness I gave that habit up here.
Yeah, yeah. And then you were there, and you got your. I mean, you did even a lot of newscasts from Hay Springs. You had to fight from that transmitter. You fought snakes one day. You know,
they took over the building. Basically, you'd go to load a film onto a film projector, and there'd be a big old snake wrapped around it. And I had an engineer, Tom Reminisky, that just terrified of snakes, and he went to open a door, and what was it? I think put a film on a film projector, and you could hear him scream all the way into Hay Springs when that snake come unraveled. And one actually crawled out of the wall behind me when I was doing the weather line one time, and so it was scary. 3 miles out, and the wind would whip around that tower, and then ice would form on the tower, and then start dropping off in about 8-foot hunks, 4 inches around, maybe 100 pounds apiece. So you'd open the door when it was time to quit, and you'd look up and then just run like heck for your car and hope you didn't get taken out. Because literally, right, the collapse of our tower in
that's right.
was
Was
I was
big.
just getting ready to do the news when the lady called and said, "Jerry, your tower just collapsed."
Yeah.
You know, and I just didn't believe it. Fog, or she just couldn't see it, but it was tragically gone. And I thought maybe at that time that would $6 million tower, are they going to replace it or what? But they, Duhamels did make the commitment, so I'm glad they're still here.
Yeah.
It's very rare a station or a town like Scottsbluff Gering would have 2 TV stations the way they have most of the time, let alone one. So it's been quite a ride, Kevin, as you well know.
Yeah. So what's as we go here? We got about another minute or so. What's the biggest change? I mean, as you go through it. I mean, you mentioned the noon show is like kind of the same thing, but there's probably other technology is probably.
I think there's a certain charm to not having all that change. You know, it's still there after all these years, and you've gone through 2 or 3 generations. I think the biggest thing is the technology, the availability of weather satellites, and instant availability of what's happening in Boston, and push a button and there's radar there, and you can see the tornado instead of just talking about it. So I would think the technology, which for me has been a curse because I'm an absolute doofus when it comes to computers. I can sort of answer a cell phone. I can't text. And I can kind of read my email and things like that. And I'm from a very computer literate family that had no patience with people. I'd get away from the computer. Back away from the computer. It's been fun. 10,000.
That's incredible.
It is amazing. And I'm going to get me a little calculator and figure that out, but I'm pretty sure that's close. And double that for weather, because I used to do weather at noon, 5:30.
And weather's to be honest with you, weather's the biggest thing I think people remember about it.
And I'm not sure why. It was free flowing. You didn't have teleprompters, so you basically just winged it, and realized how important it was that I didn't want kids getting caught out in a blizzard, or how important moisture was when it was dry out there. And it was a common sense thing. Not a meteorologist, just did the weather.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me, and we'll do this again sometime.
My God, you've done a heck of a job.
It's been a long run, and if nothing else, there's a certain continuity there. But part of the joy is working with and for people like you. Won something from the broadcasters once, and I'm pretty sure that you had a big hand.
I had a little bit to do with that.
Thank you, bud. Thank you very much.
I had a little bit to do with that. You bet. Thank you. All right, back to you, Dan.